Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head-to-head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
Here at TWRS, we're always here to help our squad when they need a little push in the right direction. That's just who we are. We're a beautifully diverse group of goofballs dedicated to driving fake race cars as fast as possible. And we continue to push each other to the front using the power of nonsense. We have one of the strongest NASCAR programs on the service, and you can access it all for $24.99 a month. And we just released individual subscriptions for $14.99 a month for each NASCAR vehicle. We also just added a Rallycross program, and our IndyCar program is taking off as well. So come join the weird side. We have speed and cookies. Cookies are not included in some locations.
You went, you served, and forged the relationships that only being baptized in the fire of combat can develop. At FallenVeteran.com, we understand the unique bond that veterans share. That's why we've created a platform where you can connect, share experiences, and build lifelong friendships with fellow veterans. Signing up is easy. Simply visit www.fall-in-veteran.com and create your profile. Customize it to reflect your military service, interests, and hobbies. FallenVeteran.com is more than just an online community. It's a support network where you can find resources, advice, and encouragement from those who understand what you've been through. Whether you're looking for camaraderie, mentorship, or simply a place to share your stories, FallenVeteran.com has it all. Join thousands of veterans who have already found their tribe and start connecting today. FallenVeteran.com. Come join us and experience the power of community. Sign up now at www.fall-in-veteran.com.
Good evening, everybody, and welcome to National Racing Network. It is Tuesday night, and that means only one thing. It's time for the Tuesday Night Thunder. Yes, we are here for the Lightning Series and the Indy Lights, the Indy Pro 2000s here at North Wilkesboro tonight. We are here in North Carolina. I'm Carl Wilkinson with here on the air tonight, joined by Cody Jordan up in the booth doing all the hard work on the buttons. We are set for a fantastic race here. It's round 3 of Series 9 here for the season, and in for a fantastic battle on this historic circuit. So plenty of action still to come tonight. Last week we were at Oswego and we saw some fantastic racing. We saw James Watson taking the victory and extending his lead in the championship a little bit. We will bring up the championship standings and points for the race and get that up on the screen for you in just one moment. And this is including drop rounds. So the drop rounds have been included in this one early on. We will get that sorted out next week. So James Watson leads at the moment. Jason Miller comes in second. It's Wes Shear in third position. Fourth, Stephen Thompson. Fifth, we've got Trenton Forston. Sixth place, Victor Aldrich. Seventh is Peter Donchek. Simon Fell sits in eighth. Ninth place for Brian Labarge, and Christopher Hill sitting in 10th position at the moment. I'm sure those championship standings will flicker around a little bit as the season goes on. At the moment, Watson is leading the times in the practice session and is going to be a hard person to beat in this race, I'm sure. But we are seeing some good lap times flying around. Lap times are dropping at the moment, but when it comes to qualifying, it's going to be an important thing to get yourself up front, keeping yourself out of trouble for the start of this race. We could see some early incidents. The cars are very tricky on fresh tyres. Before those tyres get up to temperature, the rear is going around a lot for these drivers tonight. So expect to see some people wanting to try and get themselves up front just to keep them out of trouble in this 10-car field. We'll be heading into qualifying in just a few moments here. Big thank you to TWRS, of course, sponsoring their series up there in the left-hand side here for TNT. Qualifying is a little bit different if you're not used to it. It's a 2-lap average qualifying, so a little bit different to some series. Classic, sort of Indy style racing there with the 2-lap average, but it does mean you do need 2 clean laps and you need to set the best time through it all, and that is always a difficult thing to do. Very easy to make a mistake in that qualifying run and find yourself dropping down the order. So expect to see a few people out there just trying to absolutely nail that and wanting to get the best average possible. North Wilkesboro is going to be a tricky track for these little cars. Not too much banking in the corner. It does go up fairly steep on the outside. Main thing is they're going to try and keep it as low as possible, running it towards the seam of the track. They want to keep it nice and low, get the best lap times, but the trouble is that can easily find yourself spinning out. Practice is over, and it's James Watson, Nia Camaro, Simon Fell, Brian Labarge, and Michael Long, the top 5. But now we're going to go into qualifying here and find out who is going to take pole position for tonight. Wait for the cars to get out on track and see who we're going to be following first up tonight. and it looks like we're going to be following Simon Fell out on track here in the 256, getting out nice and slow, just getting the car up to speed, taking a nice high line into the corner so you can cut down, get a little bit of speed on the exit, and away we go for the first lap of qualifying. Dropping down nice and low, you want to keep as low as possible. Watch out for that seam, it does unsettle the car. Nice and easy on the exit, keeping the car in fourth gear at the moment. Soft into the corner, drops it down to third, gets on the power. Got to be careful not to spin up those rear tyres. Very easy for the back of the car to overtake the front here at North Wilkesboro. Through the corner we go as we jump to Brian Labarge on his run, and seeing where this one jumps to in the number 8, the very cool little NASA liveried car as they come across the line trying to get those averages set. Labarge jumping up into the lead at the moment, taking pole position as it stands, and currently setting the best of those lap times as we go through and see who will take pole position in tonight's race. As we go, not as we go, that's wrong. You can see how much I am a trained monkey and just trained to say things when they appear on the screen. We are at North Wilkesboro tonight. We'll get the track information. Circuit length is about 0.62 of a mile, 1 kilometre in length. Track built in the mid-1940s, a absolute mainstay of NASCAR in the area. Fantastic little track in North Carolina. Really a true classic and a place that many drivers absolutely adore. I've never taken a open wheeler out on this track, but many times in a stock car. Looking at an air temp of 77 degrees Fahrenheit tonight, track temperature 85 degrees Fahrenheit. That's going to really heat up those rear tyres on the exit of the corner. A little bit of wind speed, but mainly clear out there. So the Carolina sun is going to be beating down on this asphalt, keeping the tarmac nice and hot, and that could well come into play in this race. Tyre temperature is going to be an important thing just to keep in a nice even area. Up front, James Watson's just taken the top spot ahead of Michael Long, setting a 16.703. Out on the track at the moment, we do have a few drivers just trying to get some extra laps in. We see Steve Costley coming out in the 76, trying to get a lap in. A late entry here for Steve Costley. Hopefully that's not costly for him, but he's going to be setting his qualifying laps now, just getting a bit of an eye in on the track and getting himself up to pace. Currently Peter Donchak has not set a time, but Costley coming in to the lane. With a minute and 30 left on this session, it looks like the majority of the field have set their times. We've got Peter Donchak out on track at the moment in the beautiful classic Lotus shod car. The 2015, I think. Memories going back there a little bit to the old days of the Lotus Renault F1 car. But that vehicle currently out on track, just setting the last of the qualifying times. And how does this one go for Donchak? We'll find out in just a couple of moments. Oh, big slide on the exit. That is not what you want to have happen. Around goes the car, and that is exactly what we were talking about earlier. You've got to be so careful on the exit of those corners. A little bit too much gas, and you're going to find yourself spinning out and losing yourself a qualifying time. So as we tick down towards the final few stages, well, the final moments of this session, it looks like the field is pretty much set, but we'll wait just a couple more moments before we make that all official, of course. We welcome you back, of course, to National Racing Network, and thank you for joining us here tonight for all the action of the TNT Tuesday Night Thunder, the lightning rounds. And, well, if you are enjoying this, please make sure to hit that subscribe button and follow the channel. We'll be here every week with more action on the ovals with the fantastic Indy SF 2000. Really fun little car, and it brings us some great racing indeed. As they start to grid up for tonight's race, let us go through and start to get the order of tonight's race. So on pole position on the front row, James Watson taking pole just ahead of Michael Long. On row number 2, we have Brian Labarge and Nish Camargo. On row number 3 is Simon Fell and Stephen Thompson. On row 4, we have Drew Bernardi and Victor Aldrich. Row 5 sees Treston Forston and Steve Cosley. And rounding us out tonight, we have Peter Donchak at the back. Hopefully the 13 does not prove to be unlucky for that car tonight and can work his way up through the field. As we head off on the pacing lap, the drivers are going to be trying to get some heat into those tyres. In these early stages, it's all about getting as much heat as you can through those tyres. They'll be dragging the brake a little bit, trying to get a little bit of carcass heat in the car and getting it so it does not get too loose on the entry of that first corner. Getting the brakes up to temperature is going to be crucial. You can see there James Watson absolutely working those front tyres as we look back from the pace car here at North Wilkesboro. Really trying to aggressively get some front tyre temperature into that car. Rear tyre temperature, do not want too much of that at this stage. So the front tyres are so important, and that's why you're seeing him soaring at the wheel and trying to get a little bit of extra temperature into those tyres early on for this start of the race. Pace car lights are out and we are going to be getting ready for a frenetic bit of action here for the race. Going to be looking at around about 250 laps if we go green here tonight. So we'll see how that one pans out. Of course, it is a time certain race. Pace car is about to pull in. James Watson will be leading the field away as we go green for North Wilkesboro. Round 3 of the Tuesday Night Thunder Lightning round. And it's Watson taking an early lead, jumping out ahead of the rest, getting those tyres up nice to temperature. Has worked out for him. Bit of a touch in the background to the wall. They managed to make it through clean. All the cars still on action. It's Watson over Long, over Labarge, Camargo, Thompson, Fell, Bernardi, Aldrich, Cosley, Forston and Donchak. Everybody getting away nice and clean here in the early stages. 50-minute race, remember, and it's going to be a race of just keeping the car in the right place. Very easy to make a mistake here and find yourself falling down the order very quickly. Hopefully nobody will find the wall early on. They will all keep it nice and clean, but it is so easy to give that wall a tag and find yourself in a really unfortunate position. Some good racing going on throughout the field at the moment. We are seeing Donchak work his way up from the back of the grid, just got past Steve Cosley, and on the back of Trenton Forston there, seeing what he can do in the race. Everybody else is pretty much single file, although Brian Labarge is starting to take a look at Michael Long up at the front of the field. Long taking a slightly wider line at the moment, and that could pay off later in the stint. But Labarge is taking that faster low line at the moment, really keeping it nice and tight to the bottom of the apron. Got to be careful not to go too tight here. It is easy to tag that curb as we see Long just giving the wall a little tap there. Saw the telltale sign of a bit of smoke, and that's what you have to be careful of. Ooh, bit of a snap in the background as well for one of the cars, as it's now getting to the stage where things are starting to get a little bit hot, and we've got a caution flag out. And we have got a car around, and it is Trenton Forston who has been found in the wrong direction. We'll go back and see if we can get the replay here of the 33 and see what's happened. Just going into the corner onto the back straight, a little bit too much gas as, very, very close for Donchak, just squeezing through perfectly there. Forston just got a little bit too eager on the power, back end kicked out and found himself pointing in the wrong direction. But has crucially managed to keep it on the lead lap, so has not lost a lap here, as we see a few people darting into the lane just for a top up of some fuel, I would say, at this early stage. Thompson, Donchak and Forston into the lane just for a quick service, just to get things over, just to get things quickly fixed up on those cars, and just making sure there's no damage and getting a little bit of extra fuel, which could prove crucial in this race if we get a long green flag period. So up front, it is the 39. This is the series leader. It's James Watson leading away in that fantastic coloured car. Kobe was telling me earlier how it reminded him of banana. It is very, very nice indeed. The flying banana indeed. Reminds me of Refreshers. It's got that sort of very nice candy vibe to it. But yeah, absolutely nice and easy to spot from the distance. Up in the lead, Watson has led this race so far, but the rest of the pack have been very, very aggressive behind. So we've seen some good racing so far tonight here on National Racing Network. Once again, we see Watson just trying to keep that front tyre temperature up and wanting to get as much temperature into those front tyres as possible. It's a strange thing when you're racing, is you want as much temperature into those tyres in the early stages, and then after about 5 or 10 laps, you'll be complaining that there's too much temperature in the tyres. You cannot make a racing driver happy, no matter what you do. They're inherently unhappy creatures. They'll always find something to complain about. Pace car is in. It's a single file restart here. Up on the high line they go. Watson is leading the pack, gets away nicely, jumps ahead of Michael Long. Good restart in the background for Labarge. He is looking to try and pounce on Long here, see if he can move his way up into second place as Watson gets away like a whippet with a bum full of dynamite and leads the race once more. The rest of the pack behind are going to be chasing angrily and seeing what they can do in this race. Currently just sitting single file, but they will start taking looks soon. Already, Nia Camargo looking to make a move on Labarge, trying to move himself up into the podium positions. Can they work their way through this stage? A little bit further back, we've got some action going on with Stephen Thompson making a move down the inside of Steve Costley and moving up a position. Some good racing here. Not the easiest place to pass, as a lot of drivers will keep it as low as possible. They don't really want to be running too high up on the track, and that can really make it quite tricky to pass in these early stages. Sometimes it's best to just sit back a little bit, watch the cars in front of you and see if they start wearing those tyres a bit. Oh, big moment there as Peter Donchak just goes into the back of Costley, and Forston has to break in reaction. Did he manage to get it slowed up in time in the 33? Looks like they did. Hopefully no major damage to that left front wheel. But just see there, just that checkup on the exit. Big lock up there. And unfortunately for Forston, just had to make the decision of, do I go into the back of that car that's braked, or do I try and avoid? Chose the right choice there, but unfortunately gave that wall a little tap. Easy little mistakes to be made. Hopefully no damage, or not much damage, at least to the 33, who's the only car that really came unstuck with that one. Watching here from a bit of a better angle from one of the drone cams, you can see just coming through the corner, car in front, Costley just looks like just had a check up in the mid corner, and that caught Donchak unaware. Very lucky for Donchak not to go sliding into the pit wall there. Forston just had to check up in response, and it's just that little bit of a lock-up sent him sliding into the wall. Doesn't look like it was heavy contact. That suspension arm should hopefully be okay. Here's the onboard. You're coming through the corner, sees all the smoke, sees the car there, and just has to decide where to go. Such a tricky thing to do in those situations, because all you see in front of you is smoke. You don't know what's going on with the car in front of you, and very easy to collect them. Forston is into the lane. Hopefully not too long stationary there. Hopefully we'll be able to get back out, and has indeed. So hopefully not too much damage on that car. 11 cars out here tonight, and we've still got 11 cars out on track. Watson in the lead ahead of Long and Labarge. Pace car lights will be going out this time round, and we will be going back to green flag racing once more. Watson getting as much temperature into those front tyres as possible, really putting a lot of work into them, and you can see that has helped on those restarts, giving a bit more confidence into the corners, getting the car turned nice and easily, and just has been helping just get that little bit of a lead here for the Tuesday Night Thunder Lightning Round series, and it has really helped out. So will it once again prove to be the benefit? Pace car pulls in. Watson decides when to go, gets away nicely. Much better start for Long this time. Keeps on the back of Watson, but into that corner, you can just see nice tight line from Watson, able to keep it right on that low line. Confident straight into that corner with those tyres, really hugging the apron, hugging the curb almost, and just builds up a nice lead already, about half a second ahead of that of Michael Long. Everybody else starting to work out what they need to do to get past the car in front and what they need to do to defend from that car behind. This is always a crucial part of the race. Very easy to make a mistake on a restart as everybody's closed up really tight. The car is lost a bit of temperature and things can go wrong very quickly. As we drop down towards the through the field, we can see everybody away nicely here. There's two little distinct packs formed up front. We've got the lead group of about 8 cars down to Stephen Thompson, Peter Donchak, Forston and Costley now a little bit further back. But the rest of the field coming along nicely. Quite a few people getting very close to the wall here and really playing it fast and loose on the exit. We're seeing a few puffs of smoke as people are just giving that wall a tiny kiss. And that is what you want to do as we ride on board here with Simon Fell. And we get an idea of what this track is like for the drivers. And you can kind of see it is a very tight track on the exit. You get very close to the wall. That's how you get the best speed. A little bit of a lock-up in front for Aldrich there. Just... not Aldrich, sorry. Where am I? For Camargo, sorry. There we go. Thank you to the voices in my head. There looks to be a bit of dirt on the track as well. It's just catching that on that slightly higher line, so got to be careful of that. iRacing has implemented the track wear system, and it does create a little bit of a looseness on the track. Very easy to make a mistake and find yourself in the wrong place at the wrong time. You do not want to be getting too close to that wall. As I said, a little kiss is fine here and there, but a big hit in these open wheeler cars will break a suspension arm and find you in the pit lane without any chance of escaping. Big lock up there as well. Up the front we saw the big puff of smoke as they continue on. It is Long versus Labarge that we're watching right now. Long is keeping a slightly midline at the moment. Labarge is taking a slightly tighter line as the caution flag is out. And what was that one for? Maybe Peter Donchak, who has had a big spin, unfortunately, in the 13. Heading in to turns 1 and 2, catches the apron, gets onto the seam line. Watch this, going to catch that seam line in the corner. You can just sort of see it where the light and the dark tarmac can connect, and that unsettles the rear, and around the 13 goes, and I think that is night over for the number 13. Watson connecting back up with the pace car, and we are back under pace car conditions here at North Wilkesboro as everybody gets themselves into position. As just looking through the field, looks like Steve Costley and Peter Donchak have taken it behind the wall. So we have lost 2 cars from the field. But up front, it is Watson in the lead ahead of Long, Labarge, Fell and Camargo. That's our top 5 here, heading in to the final 37 minutes of the race here. So get some good green flag racing. It'll be interesting to see how much further they can go. We're expecting them to make about 80 or so laps on the fuel, so fuel stops won't be crucial here as of yet. So I imagine that most people are not worrying too much about coming in for a splash and dash. I've not seen anybody in the recent time. So they are just keeping themselves focused on this race. Tyres will be needed, I think, around half race distance. Everybody will be wanting just to get some slightly fresher tyres on the car. Right front will be taking punishment here tonight, as is often the case in oval racing, and they'll probably want to get a nice fresh set of boots on the car for the final closing stages of this race. With these caution laps, though, it does extend your stint length and it does extend the tyre life as well, as you're not pushing hard. You're able just to let the car settle in and not go full foot to the floor and worry about having to extend the life in a race situation. Jump on board with Watson there, and we can just see him soaring away at the wheel, really trying to get that front tyre temperature in once more. Pace car is about to peel into the lane. Watson is going to launch away. We keep on board here. Starts early, catches the rest of the pack by surprise. Nice start for Watson into the corner. And again, that car has got so much grip. Remember, open setup here, so it does allow the teams and the drivers to tweak those setups. And at the moment, you've got to say the 39 is looking in a really sweet spot in these early short runs. That can all change as the longer run starts to peel into effect. We'll see how that unfolds as the cars come around here for lap 37. Everybody keeping well behaved behind. Just big hit for Long on the wall. Took a little bit too much exit heavily into the wall there. Looks like there's no damage on the 21, but had to really lift out of that, and that's given Lepage the opportunity here to make a move. Lepage just didn't have the overrun to make that move, though, although Long is just touching that wall again. Lepage just needs to try and get underneath the 21 here, and he'll move up into second place. Easier said than done, but that's caused a check-up behind as well. The pack has really closed in tight. Lepage taking a very wide exit, trying to get a better run off the corner here, but that has given Lepage the opportunity to get down the inside. Long sitting on the outside now. That's not where you want to be. Can he manage to defend here? He does. Very nice driving indeed. Little lock up behind from Kameko, but they've kept those positions. Great defense from Long. I thought that position was about to fall. Another lock up from Kameko just behind in the 59. Don't want to be doing too many of those. It does not do the tyres any good, but has really close up on the back of the number 8 of Lepage here. That was some fantastic battling there. Really nice driving and positioning of the car. We saw Long just take that wider route through the corner, just get a better exit, and that really helped him just jump ahead of Lepage and keep that second place secure. On board here with Kameko. Can they get up the inside of Lepage? Not quite. See up in front, those two cars battling away once more. Really trying to distract Long in the mirrors is Lepage. Moving that car left and right, trying to make Long second guess where that attack could come from. But the opportunity has just broken off a little bit. Long is pulling away just enough here. To get himself in a good position. And the fight continues. We've got Lepage trying to make the run on Long. Can he get that number 8 underneath? Looks like he's got an opportunity. Just slides up, makes contact with Long. Long goes around the 21, hits the wall. Heavy contact for Long, and that is going to bring us under caution once more. Hopefully not too much damage to the rear wing of the 21 of Michael Long, who was in an unfortunate position there as the car of looked like Lepage just slid up a little bit there and just made that contact. Very, very aggressive lunge, just didn't quite pay off, unfortunately. Nothing really between those two cars. and just got to hope that the number 21 has not suffered too much damage to that rear wing. I'm sure we'll see Long peel into the lane. Maybe not. It's going to keep out, but that was a unfortunate incident after we saw some really good close racing between those two cars. We're back under caution here, lap 48 of the race. We have 31 minutes and 40 seconds to go here tonight at North Wilkesboro. We might just throw to a commercial here as we just hit half distance and just say thanks to all of those lovely people keeping us up and running for this series. We'll be back with you in just a few moments.
Here at TWRS, we're always here to help our squad when they need a little push in the right direction. That's just who we are. We're a beautifully diverse group of goofballs dedicated to driving fake race cars as fast as possible. And we continue to push each other to the front using the power of nonsense. We have one of the strongest NASCAR programs on the service, and you can access it all for $24.99 a month. And we just released individual subscriptions for $14.99 a month for each NASCAR vehicle. We also just added a Rallycross program, and our IndyCar program is taking off as well. So come join the weird side. We have speed and cookies. Cookies are not included in some locations.
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head-to-head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
Welcome back to Tuesday Night Thunder here. TNT presents on National Racing Network. We are live back here at North Wilkesboro, and we are back under green flag conditions. You haven't missed much in that ad break at all. We did see Trenton Forston coming into the lane, top it up with some fuel, and come out for this final half of the race. Everybody else sticking out. We've not had majority of the field have not made a pit stop so far in this race. With those caution laps, that's going to help extend their chance of making it without a stop. Up the front, it's still James Watson in the leaders. Oh, around goes Nia Camargo. Just manages to save the car. Big save job there for the 59. A fantastic job from the Brazilian. Nicely done indeed. And keeps that pointing in the right direction. Going back to that replay here. Little lock-up coming into the corner, and then just on the exit, just taps that seam line again. Back end steps out, but keeps it in the right direction. Very nicely done indeed. Meanwhile, up at the front, the gap is closing a little bit. Labarge is closing in on Watson at the moment and eating into that gap a little bit as we have made half race distance. Labarge seems to have a little bit more pace here in the latter stages. Maybe he's been saving a little bit of tyre for this final run to the flag, and definitely has the pace advantage on the leader at the moment. Do wonder if Watson might be just in a bit of conservation mode, just trying to save a little bit of fuel maybe, so they don't have to pop it down the lane and come in for a pit stop. So it'd be interesting to see how that one goes. The 33 of Forston is in the lane. It looks like that car might be out of this race, unfortunately, and pulling it in and possibly pulling it behind the wall for tonight. But up the front, the gap is really closing down, and Watson and Labarge is on. Taking a bit of a look further back, Michael Long currently sits down in 8th position, the final car of the runners. Oh, bit of a lock up there for Watson. We'll keep our eyes on this front, I think, for now, because this battle is starting to get nice and juicy, and this one looks like it might be on in the near future. Labarge has closed right up to the tail, right onto the gearbox of Watson here, as we jump on board to get a bit of a bird's eye view of what these drivers are seeing here. Labarge's view there, nicely decorated with bugs and dirt from the track. You can just see the kind of vision you get from these cars. It's not a huge amount, but luckily you don't have the halos and the shields of some of the more modern race cars, so you actually get a fairly decent view out of these cars. But it's going to be crucial to keep that car in the right position, really putting pressure on Watson up front. But you've got to be careful not to make mistakes like that. Labarge just having to lift off there, getting a little bit loose on the exit, and that's just lost a whole heap of time to the leader. Can they close it back up once again? Trading lap times here, the two cars. Still in the 16.6s, so not really losing too much time from tyre wear here. They're definitely got the pace as they start to really come in for the fight. A little bit further back, we've got the action going on with Drew Bernardi and Stephen Thompson there battling it out for position. This is for 5th and 6th position at the moment. They're trying to chase down Nia Camargo, who is just getting that car back on track after that big slide. That won't have done the car much good, as there will be a fair amount of heat in those tyres, and that will take a little bit of time just to get that car resettled. Doing a good job so far just to get themselves settled back into this race, getting the eyes in, as there's a lot of smoke out on track at the moment. What's happened up the front? Big lock-up possibly from somebody a little bit further up the field, as we see just some smoke lingering on track at the moment, as looks like Michael Long has had a big moment. We're going to go back to that replay. Huge lockup, huge slide on the exit of turn 4. We'll see that just here. Just going to get it slightly offline in the 21. Such a shame, because this car had such good pace early on, but has taken a little bit of damage to the rear. And you see there, just that big lockup. Managed to keep it rolling though, so did not bring out a caution. Very nicely done from Long. Just a shame to see that car a little bit further down the field and actually about to get lapped by the leaders. That is going to be a painful one indeed. And you've got to be wondering if Long is looking back there in his mirrors seeing Labarge and thinking he's not going to make it too easy for that car to get past. Might just make it a little bit wider for the lapping than he possibly will for the leader. But we'll see as that goes now. Long, though, keeping up on the high line, keeping out the way, but Labarge makes a mistake entering the corner, goes sideways, keeps the car pointing in the right direction, and just about saves that one. Watson through, but now with a 1.1 second gap over second place. Long making it nice and easy for Labarge to get through. Very sportsmanlike there from Long, just keeping out the way of the leaders and letting this race goes on. As I say, it's a shame to see Long going down a lap, because absolutely had the pace in the early stages, was up there in second place for this race. Just a little bit of contact, unfortunately, does happen in racing. Easy little slide job, and just that brief moment has changed the standings up at the front. Looking a little bit further back, we've got the fight between Bernardi and Thompson at the moment. Up front, Bernardi keeping that car ahead, but Thompson looking pretty hungry to get through at the moment in the 24, seeing what they can do in that very nice yellow car. And they are still closing in on Camigo, who is starting to struggle a little bit in the 59. You can see just up in front as they go through. Looks like Thompson's going to try the high line here, see if they can get a run off the corner and get a run down the straight. Does get a run. A little mistake from Bernardi. Drew Bernardi just getting a little bit wriggly on the inside. Takes a slightly tighter line. Back end steps out, and that costs Bernardi position. Very nice overtake there from the 24 of Thompson, moving up into 5th position. Can they close in on Camargo here and get themselves up into the top 4? Closest battle on track at the moment, as we see Camargo first car to come in for a green flag stop here. That's going to be a costly stop, but will they all come good? If we don't see any more cautions, this could help Camargo out in the 59. Car goes up on the jacks. We'll have those wheels replaced and we'll get some fuel into the tank. Back out on track, should be moving out very, very shortly. Michael Long as well, pulling it into the lane as well. We're starting to see some pit stops throughout the field now. As big mistake for Bernardi coming into pit lane, loses the rear of the car, and that is costly indeed. A big shame there for the 86. We'll see if we can get the replay of the pit entry there. Just a bit too much rear brake bias, I'd say. Back end will go stepping out, and around she goes. Watch this for the pit entry. Comes in onto the flat, the car goes. Back end locks up, and around it goes. Pirouettes. Luckily, though, does not incur a penalty or get a caution flag out, but does lose a whole heap of time. That is a painful one there for Drew Bernardi. Up in front, Watson still leads. It's yet to make a stop here. How long can these cars go? Can they make it? We're looking about done about 87 laps here. So we think we're going to see the leader coming in right now. Is James Watson into the lane, making the pit stop here. Coming in for the full service. Brian Labarge takes the lead and will get himself a bonus point for that one. Always a nice little bonus for that. Into the lane they go. Nicely stopped on the marks is James Watson, and out onto the track they go once more. How much further can Labarge go, as well as Simon Fell? Victor Aldrich too, out on track, yet to make a stop. Stephen Thompson made a stop in the caution. We'll probably be able to go an extra 10 laps here for Thompson, so that could prove to be useful. We've got 18 minutes remaining here, so still plenty of action to come. Everybody will need to make a stop by the looks of things, but how long do they go? How far do they keep it out? Are they just hoping for a lucky caution here? Plenty of action to come. Brian Labarge looks like they're going to be bringing the number 8 into the lane here. Drops it nice and low onto the flat. They go into the lane. Little lock-up. Not that bad when you're pitting. You don't need those tyres anymore. Number 8 into the lane. Where will this put Labarge out in respect to Watson? That's going to be the interesting part of this little race now. Can Labarge manage to jump James Watson, or will Watson keep the effective race lead? Coming out onto the track goes Labarge. Watson just gets through and is passed. Nice jump from Watson. Manages to get up a fair bit of time there. Victor Aldrich into the lane now, making their stop. And we have Simon Fell and Stephen Thompson yet to make a stop. Simon Fell winning the Frugal Award for fuel usage tonight. Has made 93 laps on this tank. Absolutely extending the 256 in a great way and keeping some pace with it too. At 1.6 seconds over Stephen Thompson, who has made a stop some 86 laps ago. as we continue on. 17 minutes in this race, about 60 laps remaining if we remain green here. How will it pan out? We'll find out as it goes on. One more lap again for Simon Fell. Really good job keeping fuel in that car. This strategy could pay off if we get a late caution, but it's always a thing of praying for a late caution. It usually never comes. Fell, bring it into the lane, and that will promote Stephen Thompson into the lead. 24 taking the lead of the race. How much further can Thompson go? Can they manage to get another few laps out of the car? We'll get some nice laps led here. Always a nice feeling to do. A little bit of air time as well, as we've seen quite a few lockups in this stage of the race, as people just pushing that little bit harder, seeing what they can do. But will this work out for Stephen Thompson up there in the lead at the moment? Has James Watson closing down at a vast rate of knots. Watson's managed to unlap himself crucially here tonight. So if there is a caution, Watson will be back on the lead lap. That is a crucial position to be in. How much further can Thompson go here in the 24? How much more fuel is left in the tank? 92 laps into this stint now. Won't be long until we see the 24 peeling into the lane, getting a top up of fuel and coming back out on track. Trying a very different strategy here. Let's see how it pays off. Watson flying through. Labarge trying to close in on that gap. Fairly decent lead now for Watson. Has managed to build up a nice gap ahead behind him. So if we do not see a caution come out, it's looking good for Watson here. If a caution does fly, this could be a fantastic race result for Stephen Thompson. But as I said, whenever you're banking on a caution, it never comes. In my experience, the caution will come out just after you've made your pit stop, just to be that little bit annoying. Quite a few people just giving those lockups. We're seeing quite a bit of smoke in the air here tonight, and seeing quite a few locked wheels here. Easy to do in this stage of the race as well. The track should be nicely rubbered in, but fatigue and driver errors do creep in as you go along. And we should be seeing our leader coming into the lane very soon. Looks like Thompson's dropping it to the low line, and we'll be bringing that 24 into the lane. Nicely done. Little lockup of the tyres. No issue there as long as you're not speeding. And we'll bring it in for the pit stop. It's going to promote back up into the lead James Watson, who moves himself back into the lead of this race. Where will Thompson come out in regards to the rest of the field? Won't need to take as much fuel, so the stop will be much shorter than some. Could prove to be useful. Thompson coming out looks to be in third position at the moment, just waiting for everything to sort itself out. But that long run has paid off for Stephen Thompson, keeping third position and nicely slotting them back up ahead of Simon Fell. So nice little strategy call there from Thompson, keeping himself on the podium. But it's James Watson in the lead, the 39 up in front ahead of Brian Labarge. 2.3 seconds the gap from first to second. 5 seconds back is Stephen Thompson, who has a small gap over Simon Fell. With Victor Aldrich, Drew Bernardi, Nia Camaro, Michael Long are cars out on track at the moment. But it is James Watson up in the lead as it stands. Field is nicely split up as well. Plenty still to play for here tonight. If you can get everything right, you can find yourself in the top 5. We've got 4 cars on the lead lap. Simon Fell currently the final car on that lead lap. So plenty of action as cars are jostling for position, lapping each other now. We're seeing all the chaos as people are all over the place. Brian Labarge, though, is trying his best to close that gap up to first place, just getting past the two cars of Victor Aldrich and Drew Bernardi there, moving themselves up into second on track as well. So a nice bit of clean racetrack now for Labarge. Can they close the gap in this 11-minute remaining race? Not long to do it, but anything is possible in a race, and strange things can happen in the closing laps. We'll keep an eye on how that one unfolds. Closest battle on track at the moment is Stephen Thompson and Simon Fell. The two cars are relatively close together, and Simon Fell is going to be trying his best to close in on the 24 of Thompson, but can the 256 do it in these closing stages? Thompson, of course, will have the freshest tyres of anybody out there and will be able to just push that a little bit harder, not have to worry quite as much here, and that could prove to be crucial in these closing stages of this race. Still quite a few lockups happening on track, but everybody's doing a good job of keeping the car pointing the right direction at the moment. Everybody's just settled in to the pace nicely, and just sort of in that mode of keeping the car alive and keeping it out of trouble, a crucial part of the race at this stage. You tend to get a bit of a lull as the final few laps come into effect. Brian Labarge, though, is pushing, currently setting some of the faster laps of the race and of the on track, really trying to close the gap. Has managed to bring it down to 1.9 seconds. So Labarge is absolutely on a flyer here, trying to close that gap to the lead. But will they have enough time to get it for the final end of this race and try and battle it out for victory? That's going to be an interesting little fight. Continue to see here Simon Fell and Thompson sort of on track just then, still keeping themselves in position, still trying to close each other down. They are coming up to a little bit of lapped traffic now, seeing what they can do. They're just behind Drew Bernardi and Victor Aldrich, who each other are actually having a good battle out on track. One lap down off the leader, but fighting it out for 5th and 6th position at the moment. And with them fighting ahead of those two, it could really close the gap for Simon Fell, as I'm sure these two cars will not be the easiest to pass. They will not want, Victor Aldrich will not want Bernardi passing him in the closing stages, so won't move out of the way too easily here. They will be fighting each other hard on track, trying to maintain that crucial 5th position. But can Bernardi work his way back up into that spot? Will the lapped cars come into play here? They are going to be racing each other hard, and the two cars behind them are going to be racing hard. This should bring up some fireworks on track. Keeping an eye on the lead battle as well. Almost down to a second now between Watson and Labarge, but this is the area we'll keep our eyes on. I'll let Cody know if we need to jump up to the leaders in a few short moments, but at the moment it looks like Bernardi's making it nice and easy for those two cars to go past. Could be a really smart move here if he can link himself in right behind the back of Simon Fell. Could possibly try and make a move on Victor Aldrich here, as Aldrich will sort of keep himself out the way. Could be the opportunity for Bernardi to make that move for that 5th position. Looks like he's going to do it here. Down the inside he goes. Big lunge down the inside of Aldrich. Bernardi moves himself up into 5th position. Very nicely done. Well thought out attack on that car there, letting the two cars that are ahead get past and using that to an advantage. Meanwhile, up the front, the gap has extended as they're getting past some lap traffic. James Watson back out to 2.3 seconds ahead of Brian Labarge. The battle for the lead is looking like not much is going to happen in these closing stages. The battle for third, fourth, fifth and sixth, though, is well and truly on in this race. Who will take that final step of the podium? That is going to be a battle that we'll keep our eyes on as the laps start to wind down. But Watson, absolutely impeccable drive today, leading from start to finish. Still a few laps to go, still some crazy things that could happen, but you've got to say, looking good as it stands. The 39 looking absolutely planted still as this race goes on, looking every bit as fast as it did in the early stages. Not the fastest car on track though, that does belong to Brian Labarge, who set the fastest lap of this race a little bit a while ago with a 16.464. Absolute great lap from Labarge, getting himself the fastest lap of the race. Shows there was pace in this car. Unfortunately, couldn't really make it work to get up into the lead of the race. Watson comes through again. Just a little bit of dust and dirt being kicked up as it gets close to the walls once again. Watson really hustling that car along, keeping it nice and steady now as we tick down 5 minutes remaining, 5 minutes 55 seconds remaining in this race. About 20 laps we will see go through as they thunder around North Wilkesboro, a great little track and an absolute favourite of many oval racing enthusiasts. Still keeping a bit of a look on third position as Stephen Thompson starts to make his way through some lap traffic once again, just getting past Nia Camargo. Again, had really good speed tonight, just a big lock-up and a little bit of a moment. Just lost that 59, a bit of pace, unfortunately. Stephen Thompson doing a nice long-run strategy and making it pay off for third position at the moment. Has managed to extend the gap over Simon Fell and sits relatively safely in third position. 2:56 of Simon Fell sitting in fourth position at the moment. Again, seeming pretty secure. Just got to keep that car on track. Has about a 24-second gap over Drew Bernardi behind, a good lap ahead of that car. So as long as nothing goes wrong, we'll be in a prime position and sitting well for this race. As Watson comes across the line, we are heading towards those final few laps. This is where drivers start to think about their race and think what they could have done differently. But this man up in front, James Watson, will be thinking how well this race has gone and will be very happy. Leading almost every lap of the race, apart from the few with the pit stop intervals. Watson has absolutely been on fire in the early stages of this season and is really shown to be the car and man to beat at this stage in the championship. Just looking down the order a little bit, jumping to the 86 of Drew Bernardi. A good recovery drive from Drew, getting back up there after that mistake coming into pit lane, getting back into fifth position. Will be kicking themselves for that, but I'm sure we'll be happy to get into the top 5 at least in this race. Victor Aldrich, relatively quiet night in the 98, sits down in 6th position, fairly secure ahead of Nia Camargo in the 59, down in 7th position. Michael Long, we just see just in the background there in the 21, continuing on. Looks like that car is back to somewhat good condition, but lost 7 laps with some damage, unfortunately, and found himself towards the back of the pack. As we settle into the final couple of minutes of this race, though, everybody will be thinking they just need to make it to the end now to secure themselves a nice haul of championship points. 8 cars left in the 11-car field out there. Good to see a low attrition rate for tonight. No major crashes as well. Always nice to see that out on track. All the cars running nicely and no big incidents to speak of. Probably the biggest was the Lavage long little tap through the corner. But it is James Watson up at the front, leading away, leading the charge at the moment into the final 90 seconds of this race. Starts to count down. As we see Michael Long actually bringing it into the lane here, possibly for an unscheduled stop. Maybe seeing if they can get some fresh boots and try for a fastest lap, maybe. Or just pulling it in. Looks like they might just be pulling it in behind the wall. Maybe a little bit too broken just to carry on those final few laps. Final few seconds of, final minute of the race now ticking away. And it is Watson up in the lead in the 39. 2-second gap behind him to Lavage. Just needs to keep it planted, keep it in the track, keep it away from the walls, and keep it incident free for another couple of laps here. Not far to go indeed for this 39 car, as we bring another round closed for the TNT Shock Series. It is Tuesday Night Fun Day here on National Racing Network. A big thank you to everybody joining us here tonight. We love having you with us for this action. It really helps us out. White flag is flying. Final lap now for James Watson. Just has to make it around another half a mile or so of racetrack. Not long to go, and will be tasting victory and pulling that car into victory lane. Good job from Stephen Thompson closing the gap in the late stages. But it is James Watson taking victory here tonight at North Wilkesboro ahead of Brian Lavage and Stephen Thompson, the top 3 from the race across the line. Simon Fell comes in home in 4th position, and it's Drew Bernardi in 5th spot. Victor Aldrich will bring it home in 6th. 7th for Nia Maho, and Michael Long will come home classified in 8th position. But a great victory there for James Watson. An absolute dominant drive out there tonight. That car absolutely looking like it was nigh untouchable. And a great performance once again from the season series leader there of James Watson. And we'll be taking a nice haul of points here tonight as the drivers get out on track and start to do some celebrating here. And start to seeing who can win in a tug of, in a push battle, and it looks like Lavage has got it there. A great win there from James Watson. Absolute fantastic stuff. Well, we'll quickly go through our finishes once again. So it was James Watson taking victory ahead of, has got the wrong graphic up there. Yeah, there we go. Sorry, I just had to prod the producer there. James Watson taking victory ahead of Brian Lavage. Stephen Thompson comes home in 3rd. Simon Fell 4th. 5th position for Drew Bernardi. Victor Aldrich in 6th. Nia Kamaho comes home in 7th. 8th place for Michael Long. Treskin Forston in 9th position, and Peter Donchak comes home 10th place. Rounding us out was Steve Costley in 11th position here tonight. Fantastic racing out on track once more. we will be heading to a quick break as we get everything ready to chat to our top 3 drivers and talk to our winner of tonight's race as well. We'll be back with you very shortly here at National Racing Network.
Here at TWRS, we're always here to help our squad when they need a little push in the right direction. That's just who we are. We're a beautifully diverse group of goofballs dedicated to driving fake race cars as fast as possible. And we continue to push each other to the front using the power of nonsense. We have one of the strongest NASCAR programs on the service, and you can access it all for $24.99 a month. And we just released individual subscriptions for $14.99 a month for each NASCAR vehicle. We also just added a rallycross program, and our IndyCar program is taking off as well. So come join the weird side. We have speed and cookies. Cookies are not included in some locations.
And welcome back, everybody. We are here back at National Racing Network for Tuesday Night Thunder. It is the Shock Series Round 3 at North Wilkesboro, and we are joined by our podium getters here tonight. And we're going to be starting off with our third place finisher, Stephen Thompson. Stephen Thompson, 24. Well done on third place tonight. Congratulations on the podium. Well-driven race with slightly different strategy to everybody else.
Yeah, I was one of the first early close self-spinners, and I overheated that right rear. So I was already halfway back in the pack. I just figured I'd come in, top off, and check it. And surprisingly enough, I lit up the middle. But knowing that we probably were only going to make one more pit stop, I didn't take a set of tires, even though we had 2. It would have been interesting, but didn't want to push it. I really just wanted to run long there. I was looking at the lap count at the end of the race. I think we ended up with 107 laps green. So wherever anyone was on lap 50 with the fuel restart, that kind of made people's beds. I know I saw a couple other cars come into pit, but that's what I mentioned when I was confused. I didn't know what everyone else was doing because I was the only one on my strategy.
Yeah, it did shake things up a little bit. It gave you that nice time up in front, which is always nice, as everybody else came in to stop. And we were sort of wondering where it would put you out in the end of things, and ended up slotting you back out in third place. So it really paid off nicely with that long strategy and the sort of 2-stopper over everybody else's 1-stop there.
Yeah, I think I was carrying maybe a couple extra gallons of fuel compared to everyone else. And by the time that they were pitting, I was kind of getting into clean air and running fast laps. I knew I could match their pace with more fuel, but it was more about being comfortable with the car. I was a little slow. It felt like a boat when it was cold tires, full fuel, which made that second stint a little bit more fun because we were only running about half a tank. So a little bit more speed off the get-go, but that was a lot of pressure to run fast after a green flag pit stop.
No, absolutely. And, you know, having to make those green flag pit stops as well, that's always such a crucial thing, just getting in, getting the car slowed down in time and making sure you don't make a mistake because it is so easy. We saw a couple of cars out there tonight just having little minor errors and finding themselves losing quite a lot of time, and that nice short run down the lane for yourself really paid off.
Yeah, I noticed a few early pitters before me. They were throwing on their pit limiter very early on in the turn because you're coming off that turn at like 55 miles an hour, and that's like 20 miles an hour faster than you need to be. So I think everyone locked up a little bit, but we were expecting to change tires, and no harm, no foul as long as you got it down to 35.
Great battle towards the end as well. We saw Simon Feld right behind you and giving you some pressure, and coming up to a couple of cars fighting it out on track as well, being lapped by you guys. Must have put the old heart up into the mouth for you a little bit, making you think, oh, could this be an opportunity for him to get past?
Yeah, I saw he closed the gap, and then luckily I was using the momentum of them fighting themselves. But there was a pretty big tire differential too. My strategy, was going to put me on 20 to 30 lap newer tires, and that was really helpful moving through traffic. But unfortunately, it wasn't enough to make up track position.
No, it absolutely did a great job closing that gap at the end, about 2 seconds back from Brian at the end of that one. Really managed to close it in, and it's times like that you just wish you had a couple of extra laps, isn't it?
Yeah, you take it for granted, but like I said, we ran 107 laps green with a green flag stop, and we still finished within 2 seconds of each other. So bravo to all the finishers, but finishing on the lead lap here is no easy feat either.
Look, congratulations tonight, Stephen. Well done indeed. Before I let you go, though, look, love shout-outs to sponsors, people in general. Go for it. You've absolutely earned it tonight with your third place here at North Wilkesboro.
Yeah, shout out to my family as always, parents, sister, pregnant wife in the other room, and sleeping baby in the crib behind me. It's always fun to come out and enjoy these races with the community, so glad you guys are on board and glad you guys get to support us.
Thank you so much. Congratulations again tonight. Stephen Thompson coming home third here tonight in the 24. Next up, we move to the number 8, and it's Brian Labarge. Welcome back to the booth. Congratulations on P2 here tonight at North Wilkesboro.
Oh, thank you very much. First appearance up here.
It's always nice to get up into the booth, isn't it? And on a track like this, it was a bit of a tough race for you. You had a lot of overtaking to do. You had a lot of chasing down to do. It was not looking easy out there tonight.
It certainly was not easy. The first stint, finding it incredibly challenging. I mean, Mike Long put up an absolutely heck of a fight. He was really quite quick, but taking advantage of the fact that this is a very difficult track to pass on, he was taking all of the right lines, and there was even one spot where I think he made a minor mistake where he clipped the wall, and even with that, he still managed to find a way to put his car in the right spot where it became, I thought, all right, perfect. He made a mistake. I've got this. I'm just going to go on the outside and look over, and he's still there in front of me. So at that point, I just kind of played, or tried to be as patient as I possibly could until, an opportunity presented itself, and to that point, I mean, like, just a small minor bobble, and I tapped his rear, and I very very sorry about that. Did not obviously mean to do that there, but yeah, he deserved more than that. But yeah, it was, and then even it's just a very difficult place to get around and pass on.
Absolutely, yeah. We saw that incident, and it just looked like just a little tiny wash up on your end from our perspective. And it's such an easy thing to do here on this track. It's not the easiest place to pass, as you said.
No, and that's exactly what it was. And there was very few times where in practice where I was even bothering going down that line, because it's just, you don't really want to put your car down there for that exact reason. And Mike left me pretty much exactly one car's worth of room, and I'm just the entire time I'm like, please stick, please stick, please stick, please stick, and it just ever so slightly didn't. So unfortunate.
Final stages of that race, we saw you really trying to close the gap on Watson here tonight. You had some really good long run pace, and you set the fastest lap of the race as well, so you were definitely pushing it out there.
Yeah. And I think that there was a couple of places where, towards the back half of that race where there was just a little bit of a minor bobble getting back on the power coming around turn 4, because if you take a really tight line in there's just like one little bump that if you either get on the power too hard too early, or if you're just not pointing in just the right direction, the front kind of bites and the back kind of kicks out a little bit. But both times that happened, I was right to within a second or maybe even a little under a second to James to try to track him down. And then after the second one, I kind of looked at my relative and saw that Steven had made up a lot of ground with the fresher tires, and I basically at that point, like, I just have to, keep Steven behind me, and kind of gave up trying to catch up to James. And even if I had caught up to James, I don't think I would have had enough to get around him, because we saw earlier in the race how hard it is to get around someone. So, I mean, catching him would have been nice to at least give him, just to see what would happen. But at the end of the day, I think second realistic was probably the best I was going to do.
Absolutely, and well for a very hard fought for second place tonight. We're heading off to my home land and my local circuit, actually, Thruxton, next time out. Any experience around that track for yourself?
I have run it on a couple of test occasions to get familiarized with it, and honestly, I think it's going to be an absolute blast. There's a lot of full throttle around that lap, and there's a couple corners you have to navigate, but I mean, it's essentially a left-hand turning oval with a chicane. It is going to be absolutely fun.
It's going to be interesting to see how that shakes everything up next time out. Look, congratulations tonight. Fantastic result, fantastic race. Before I let you go, though, love, shout out, friends, family, sponsors. Please go for it. You've earned it tonight.
All right, thank you. First off, NASA JPL for the sponsorship on the car. You guys for putting on the broadcast. Family who's around here, friends who might be watching. I'll probably get that link out there to a couple of my other racing buddies so they can kind of see what's going on with this. And obviously all the other racers that we race against too. It's a pleasure to be part of this racing community, and everybody here in this in the race here in this league is just top-notch people, and it's really good fun to race against so yeah, hats off to them too.
Thank you so much. Congratulations on P2 here tonight, Brian, and I'm sure we'll see you back in the booth sometime in the near future.
We hope so.
And next up tonight, finally saving the best for last, James Watson taking victory here tonight in North Wilkesboro. Congratulations on the top step of the podium and victory number 3 of the season.
Thank you. Yeah, this was another hard fought race. The distance wasn't quite as close as it was last time out, but it was definitely just as stressful trying to make sure I held on to the lead, kept everyone behind me.
Absolutely, you did a great job of that. You looked like you had the car underneath you straight on the start. Actually, we saw a lot of keeping those front tires, trying to get some temperature into those front tires for the starts of the race and the restarts. Looked like you had a lot of confidence when you were going into that first corner.
Yeah, I don't know if it really it scientifically does anything to actually help the tire, but it's just nice having at least it gets me focused, and I know that there's some sort of attempt to get heat into the tires, which is the most important thing, because these tires are just absolutely rocks on the first few laps. So making sure to get as much heat into them as early as possible, it's key for any sort of hopes on being fast, holding position, and gaining position.
I think I heard once that it doesn't always get a temperature into the tyres, but it makes the driver think there's temperature in the tyres, and if they believe that, then it kind of works.
Yeah.
Always good to have that belief when you're going into the corner. Look, absolute rocket ship out there tonight. You had some really good long run pace out there as well. Really put it into practice, and it just sort of looks like you were keeping just nice and steady, and just keeping yourself focused out there was probably the hardest part for you.
Yeah, the having the clean air is such an advantage, especially at a track like this. So I was just, making sure that I was just pacing myself, pacing the car, making sure I don't completely burn my stuff up when I don't need to, because tire wear is so ridiculously bad on these cars at these particular tracks. So doing anything I can to eke as much tire life as possible. It's literally the difference between winning and losing.
Absolutely, and keeping some life in those tyres is always crucial when the gap starts to close up from behind. Obviously, I imagine you're checking the relatives a little bit and just double checking the mirrors a couple of times there towards the final few laps.
Yeah, I was definitely, my eyes were definitely on the relative, a lot more than you would think, but I just knew that it was gonna be a pretty even battle to the end with what I was experiencing with Brian as close to me as he was at towards the end of the first stint. So I wasn't exactly sure how it was gonna go. So just making sure, I was trying to continue to pace myself, but still trying to push a little more, but trying to hold back as much pace as I could. But towards those last few, there wasn't a whole lot being held back. It was just, praying that he doesn't start reeling me in too much, and if he does, I can hold him off if he gets there. But yeah, I was able to maintain a good enough gap.
Absolutely, very well driven tonight indeed. Off to Thruxton next time out. You heard me ask the question. Your thoughts on the track, and what are you expecting coming out of that one?
Yeah, it's gonna be a really interesting race. We've never run Thruxton before. I've never turned any laps on it. I'm used to Wes always talking about how awesome it is, so I'm looking forward to trying it myself. I think it's going to be like another really fast road course. So trying to have a set that's fast and helps you kind of keep the car under you is key. And I'm not the best when it comes to road racing in this car, so I don't know if the hot start will continue. Hopefully it will, but yeah, it's honestly I have no idea how it's gonna go, so we'll see.
No, it's going to be exciting stuff indeed. Look, you basically just keep full throttle until you get to the kink at the end of the track. It's a pretty simple one, at least. That's the good news.
Surely I'll be able to pull it off then. Surely.
Yeah.
Right?
You'll be right. It will be fine. No, looking forward to that one. It's going to be an exciting race. But tonight you have earned the honours of victory here at North Wilkesboro. Congratulations, James. Before I let you go, though, shout out to those well-deserved sponsors, friends, family, everybody in between. Go for it. You've earned it tonight.
Yes, sir. Gotta thank everyone at Team Watson Racing Setups. Use code WATSPIN39 for 10% off at checkout. Gotta thank everyone at the National Racing Network, ZS Designs and Dizzy V Designs for putting together my paints, Icon Apparel for always sticking with us, Boomer Button Boxes, and my folks for watching at home.
Congratulations, James. Well done indeed. Well-deserved victory here tonight. And I'm sure we'll see you back in the booth sometime soon. Hopefully, you can hope that it will be for Thruxton.
Here's hoping. Cheers, guys.
Okay, everybody, we are done and dusted tonight. A big thank you for TNT, Tuesday Night Thunder, TNT League, of course, for all of their hard work getting everything out on track. Big thank you to everybody for joining us here as well on National Racing Network. Always a pleasure to broadcast to you all. Remember to hit that subscribe button to catch more action in the near future. Just on the screen at the moment. If you are interested in the actions, please make sure to follow those links and find yourself either on track or on the broadcast. Big thank you to everybody here, and from myself, Mr. Carl Wilkinson, with you, and of course Mr. Kobe Jordan up in the booth. We will wish you a very good night, and we will see you next week at the fantastic track of Thruxton in Hampshire, England.